That is a good question. I don't know. Maybe just a lot of talking back and forth, and sooner or later, talking.
I don't think a lot. Jimmy's a very good player. The Warriors, they just got old, and there's nothing you can do about that. Steph is obviously struggling physically now.
Rested, I think he can absolutely help Steph Curry. I don't think that their team is going to turn into like a juggernaut contender, but they absolutely got better. And
the NBA just had one of the wildest trade deadlines in history, and the biggest shocker? Jimmy Butler is now a Golden State Warrior. But here's the twist. He didn't even want to go there at first. Just 24 hours before the trade, reports came out that Jimmy refused to sign an extension with the Warriors.
What was it that made you want to leave then?
That's a good question, actually. That is a good question. I don't know. Maybe just a lot of talking back and forth, and sooner or later, talking's got to stop.
He originally wanted to go to the Phoenix Suns, but they couldn't make the deal work because no team wanted to take on Bradley Beal's massive contract. With Phoenix off the table, Jimmy had no choice but to reconsider Golden State. And now, he's locked in for a 2-year, $121 million extension. So how did this trade happen? The Warriors sent Andrew Wiggins, PJ Tucker, Kyle Anderson, and a protected first-round pick to Miami. The Heat, in return, got back short-term contracts, giving them max cap space in 2026, just in time to make a run at Luka Doncic. That's right. Miami is betting that Luka will leave the Lakers when his contract is up, and they'll be waiting with a massive offer to pair him with Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro. Meanwhile, the Pistons and Jazz got involved in the deal too, with Detroit landing Lindy Waters and Josh Richardson, while Utah received Dennis Schroeder and a second-round pick. Now, let's talk about the Warriors' strategy behind this move. The real reason Golden State made this trade: Steph Curry is 36 years old, and the team is currently sitting in 10th place with no real shot at contending.
Jimmy's a very, very good player, but I don't think it's going to move the needle. Are they better than they were yesterday? Probably, but they're still not at the top.
They needed a star, and they tried everything before landing on Butler. First, they went after Kevin Durant, but KD refused to return to the Warriors because of his past issues with Draymond Green.
Warriors have been seriously pursuing Kevin Durant over the last week, but sources tell me that Durant has no desire in a reunion with the Warriors. He does not want to go back to the Warriors, where he won 2 championships, won 2 finals
Remember
MVPs.
their infamous argument where Draymond told him, "We don't need you, we won without you"? That still stands.
Kevin heard about this Warriors rumbling. He was like, what? No, I don't want to go back there. Was pretty adamant. I think he approached the Suns to get some clarity on it. And can you work with me to find a place somewhere else? And, you know, from what I hear,
the Warriors also made a run at Paul George and Lauri Markkanen, but both teams demanded Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, and multiple picks, a price Golden State wasn't willing to pay. So instead, they got Butler for a much lower cost. On the court, Butler brings elite defense and playmaking, but there are some concerns about his fit in Golden State's system.
However, we said, it is unprofessional. Like, there's when you miss things that you're supposed to be at and you get paid to be at, there's no other word for it. And he has been the consummate pro with.
The Warriors thrive on three-point shooting, and Butler, along with Draymond Green and Kuminga, isn't a great shooter from deep. Steve Kerr will need to stagger their minutes to avoid spacing issues. However, defensively, this could be a top-tier unit, as Butler is still one of the best perimeter defenders in the league.
But defensively, time will tell if they're contenders or not. They're playing well, they're playing good, and when you get a guy like Luka.
But let's not ignore the locker room concerns. Reports say both Steph Curry and Steve Kerr were hesitant about this move. Butler has a history of clashing with teammates and coaches. He forced his way out of Chicago, called out the Timberwolves for not giving him a max contract, and left the Sixers when they chose Tobias Harris over him. And now, Miami refused to give him a new deal, leading to this trade. However, there's a pattern here. Butler only becomes a problem when his money is in question. Now that the Warriors have secured him for 2 years, it's likely that he will be focused and locked in. Beyond the Warriors, this trade completely shook up the NBA. It wasn't just about Butler. His move triggered a series of blockbuster deals, completely reshaping the league. Luka Doncic is now a Laker. Anthony Davis is in Dallas. Zach LaVine joined the Kings. Brandon Ingram went to the Raptors. Kyle Kuzma is a Buck. And Chris Middleton is now a Wizard. It feels like an entirely new NBA overnight. While Jimmy Butler is still a top-tier player, this trade is a massive gamble for the Warriors. At 35 years old, his durability is a concern. He hasn't played more than 64 games in a season since 2019. His effort in the regular season has been questioned, and some argue he only turns up in the playoffs.
We'll call it unprofessional. I don't know the reason, but so, the letter of the law states be professional and, do things that you're supposed to do. So by the letter of the law, he disobeyed the letter of the law, which shows a little bit of unprofessionalism, but I'm not going to take shots at Jimmy.
The Warriors need consistent contributions to even make the playoffs, let alone contend for a title. Another big issue, what happens to Jonathan Kuminga? With Butler in the lineup, Kuminga is likely out of closing lineups, since you can't have too many non-shooters on the floor at the same time. Kuminga has been vocal about wanting a bigger role. So does this trade push him toward an eventual exit? Some reports even suggest that the Warriors could flip Kuminga for a true center before the next deadline. But as of now, his future is unclear. The Warriors front office had to make a move, but they are betting everything that Butler stays healthy, motivated, and drama-free. If it works, they'll be back in the championship race. If not, this could be the beginning of the end of the Warriors dynasty. But here's the biggest question. Was this the right move for Golden State? On one hand, they didn't give up much and got a star player. But on the other, Butler is 35 years old, has injury concerns, and doesn't perfectly fit the Warriors system. This is a high-risk, high-reward move that could either push Golden State back into title contention or blow up in their face.